Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of Game Rich Time Poor, the show for people with more games than free time in which to play them. I'm going to start with a short game. Oh no, I'll tell you what, I'll start with a tip, which I'll hopefully try to keep up. My tip for this week is to go through your library, go to a website, steamplaytime.appspot.com, put in your Steam account URL. It's either a number or one that you've set, like your username, and you can see the times that it takes to beat all of your games, which is taken from howlongtobeat.com. So you don't have to type them all in yourself. It just automatically generates it for you, and they're sorted in descending order, I believe. So if you go down to the bottom, you can see your quickest games to beat, and so it'll say, like your game up at the top might say 40 hours, 80 hours, whatever, very long games like Skyrim. Down the bottom, you'll have your much shorter games, which are usually indie games. I used that to beat two games this week. I had one of which was 30 Flights of Loving, and so that is the game that I will start with. 30 Flights of Loving is an indie game. It's a difficult game to describe how or what exactly it is. It's by Blendo Games. It's, I would say, more of an experience than a game, although it is definitely a game. It has received incredibly poor reviews on Metacritic. User score. The critic score is double the user score, and that may be because the price is very high. Here in the UK, it's £4, probably about the same, $4. I don't know, $3. Um, for a game which only lasts for about 20 minutes. So 20 to 30 minutes. I completed it in 20 minutes and I wasn't rushing. And so I completed it for a second time as well. And for, a 20-minute game, I mean, I like the game. It's gorgeous. It's artistic and it's very experiential, but £4 for 20 minutes, I don't know. If you think of it as a roller coaster, it's fine. It's kind of like an interactive, I suppose, montage. But I'll get to that more to that later. I think why it's received such poor user scores is because people don't see it as a game. One, they feel cheated because it was expensive for how short it is. Two, it's not a game in the usual sense. You don't have a health bar, that type of thing. You don't have to collect coins. And so it hasn't done very well because of that. I think another reason why people didn't like this game is because it moves so quickly that they didn't really understand what happened in the game. That's also because it's non-linear in the, I suppose, in the time sense, not in the video game sense, in the filmic sense. You find yourself, it uses jump cuts like in a movie. So you would be walking forward and suddenly you are like much further along. Just because, we get the idea. You're going to reach the end of the corridor, it just skips it for you. What I like about the game is there's no tutorial. I mean, it's only 20 minutes, but still, it's everything that you could want is self-contained within the game. So, I mean, just a mini tutorial begins with, I suppose this might be, spoiling some things. So if you want to play the game, then don't listen to the rest. Um, it starts off with showing you just simple keyboard controls, WASD, but it's a sign on the wall inside the game. you have music in the background, game music, but then you see a radio with, visualized music, musical notes coming out of it. And so that's like a precursor to everything in the game, where everything you need is here. You just don't know how to go about it. You learn that you can interact with things, but you have to figure everything out for yourself, and that is um, all done for you by the developer, by the designer. Like, there's nowhere that tells you that you should go and press on, let's say, a painting on the wall. You just notice that it's slightly crooked, slightly slanted. And because the game is short enough, this never becomes overplayed. And because your hand is never held, you've got this sense of exploration and discovery and, I suppose, wonder as you go. So yeah, this game really just tells a story surrounding a wedding and what you learn to be bootlegging of alcohol during prohibition times. Yeah, so like I said, the story jumps around, and so you're more experiencing like the present and past in rapid succession in scenes. It starts with montages explaining who these people are, who you meet, and hopefully they have their names on their bodies, which are like cartoonishly boxy. I think the music in the game is wonderful because it gives a sense of fun, which matches perfectly with the art style, and it changes as you progress. So when you jump to the next scene, suddenly the music jumps along with you, and it gives a real sense of like forward momentum and fun. Also, I think it is a very well designed game because when you walk around, you are shown often clocks, and their time is moving faster than it should be, much faster. And it so it helps when you see a jump cut and it's just you're walking down a corridor, now you're walking down a different corridor. We get the idea. You've just continued your journey. Nothing of particular interest happened in the meantime, and so they just cut out the boring bit. You're just there. There you go. And you can't go back. You don't need to go back. Yeah, it all works because it gives the sense that it's just a montage. Time is moving forward quickly. Also, you can't really get anything wrong in the game. Like I said, it's more um, a like a semi-interactive cutscene in a game. Um, you'll be walking forward, and suddenly your character will do something. So you had no control over it, but it works, and it's just showing you like this is a story that is unfolding or has already unfolded. And so it takes out the skill from it, which is what you want from a cutscene. You want like a breather from the skill-based game, so you can sit back and it's not entirely passive. It's just you're still engaged, you're still in the game, but you just can't really do anything wrong. And also sometimes, like for example, if you're getting out of bed, um, you wake up, you wake up, you're in bed. You can't just stand up immediately and start walking around because that's what it's like in real life. Strangely enough, actually, this is considered to be a first-person shooter because technically it is in the first-person perspective, but it's not Call of Duty. Yeah, I think it's very atmospheric. It achieves its experience partly by atmosphere. Some of the visuals are really gorgeous, and what I like are the settings. You have different settings, and I think they're just so well done, like an airport, a bedroom, a rooftop. you know they um they really feel like those places. The music matches the energy of the place, and the story and the pacing. It all works very well together. I think i think critics appreciated this game probably because they didn't have to pay for it. and so they were just appreciating all these things going on. I got this in the humble bundle, so for me it was like an added bonus, and I saw that critics liked it, so that's why I got it. I didn't realize it had gotten a user score which was half that of the averaged critic score. So I think now I'll just truly go into the story and go into like spoilers. Because people have said, oh, it doesn't really have like the story doesn't make any sense. Like, what was that? Um, but it does. Like the developer, he wasn't on drugs or something. Well, I can't say that definitively. I'm sure they would have helped making a game like this. But it's really not that weird. It's just they're seeing something out of context. If this was in a movie, they'd be fine with it. They'd try to, piece the puzzle pieces together. But because it's a game, they simply weren't expecting it. It's just a bit different. Um, at the very beginning of the game, there are lots and lots of bottles of non-alcoholic, some beverage, beer or something, on shelves. And so one of the first things you'll probably do is consume all of these bottles. Just, it's a game, you can interact with them. You press E and a bottle disappears and you hear a drinking sound effect, and it's, just kind of fun. So you just take them all. Um, Later on, you go to a secret party, a wedding, and you drink actual alcohol, so alcoholic beer, and that um, you see from the other character, the girl at the table you're with, she like love hearts start coming out of her, things become a bit rosy, and so that actually makes sense within the story that in the normal kind of government controlled world, um, love can't flourish. Whereas here with alcohol, it's like the kind of social lubricant that can allow these things to happen and help them along, which also works well because you learn that your um, your flatmates, I suppose, housemates, flatmates, they appear to be freedom fighters, and so you assume you must be as well, which makes sense because you want to get out of this prohibition place, or you want to overthrow this restrictive government, and for love. Like technically it's for alcohol, but it's associated with love because that's what um, precipitated you falling in love with this woman, I suppose, falling in love. Love hearts coming out of her and you while you were drinking alcohol at the wedding. Also, what I think happened is that your two friends, these freedom fighters, they got themselves into a jam on one of their missions, and now you have to go and rescue them. I also like it really helps the game that there's only one loading screen. So everything just flows, everything, jumps to the next bit, jumps to the next bit. And there's also a part you go through a corridor saying forget your past, and that's um the what you call it, slogan of an airline, forget your past. And that's, what the game uses, that you don't know what's what your past is, you don't quite know what's going on. Yeah, even the sound effects are really great. Like there's a moment when your um, flatmate is shooting um, cameras on parachutes, but instead of the normal like gunshots, it's um, like musical sound effects, like bashing a cymbal, bashing a drum, rhythmically and musically. One thing about the game I really like is how you'll find yourself suddenly, driving in a car or something, and you don't really understand what's going on. And so you'll look around just to see. And it's only when you look at something, you don't have to interact with it, you don't press anything, you just look at it, and that causes something to happen in the game. So if you didn't look at it, it wouldn't happen. But yeah, it's exactly, it's just like a semi-interactive cutscene. The point in the game where you're on the back of the motorbike, and there's a crash. The reason why there's a crash is because it's precipitated by you talking to the um, like your girlfriend or whoever, and that's Anita, and that's like there's no, like the reason why the crash is there is because she's expressing her love for you. So for someone saying like, "Oh, this game doesn't make any sense," or it's all just random. I mean, there's so much there that you could go into. I'm not even going to go into it, or deconstruct it or whatever. But yeah, and I like how the last scene is like in an art gallery with people, um, like critics, standing around discussing the art because that is exactly like that's probably why critics liked it so much. It's so self-referential, like I suppose meta-referential, where people are, the critic is playing the game, and now he's going to think about discussing the game, and it ends on critics discussing this art. So I'll just give some more information. I'll just give some more information about the game. I'm just going through the developer's commentary, and he's saying how it was originally a prototype, and it was fleshed out after his previous game, which is called Gravity Bone. And actually, the game Gravity Bone is included on this in this game. In the menu system, you can play Gravity Bone, which is the previous game. You can really tell that this game came after it. It's so much um, more developed, and it's from someone who now really understands what they're doing. Yeah, so the developer said that he had to work within the constraints of no voiceover, no um, like big text exposition or anything. So you just had to get this sense of what's going on just from the environment. And actually, the more I think about it, the more this game does make intrinsic sense because, like, why are they at the wedding? You briefly see when you click on Anita, her background. The last part, which is kind of funny, it's like sharpshooter, whatever. You see confectioner. So she must have baked the cake for this wedding, and then you see your other friend, uh, Borges. He is the best man at the wedding. So it all makes sense for everyone to be there, and perhaps I am Anita's plus one. Developer said that he was uneasy about the montage sequences when you click on the uh, character. You see, like the quick montage saying their background, like he's a forger, he's a best man, because it's non-interactive. And he said, well, it only lasts for a few seconds, so I could live with that. The montage sequences like make this game. They absolutely make it, and you've got huge letters in the background. It's like it's cinematic, it's funny. Yeah, it's crazy that he almost didn't include them in the game. Another thing that also, is explained in this game, which supposedly makes no sense, remember, according to its reviewers, is Borges is a pilot. That's why the plane is there. That's why you take off into a plane. Also, he's the best man in this wedding, and I kind of suspect, the reason why these people who we don't know, like the bride and groom, why would he be the best man? Well, uh, or why is he at this wedding? What's this all about? Our like gang are alcohol bootleggers, and so we would be bringing booze. So it's like an incentive for us to be invited to this wedding. They'd be like, oh, invite them. They'll bring booze. Make him your best man. He'll supply the alcohol. During prohibition times. It's either that or whatever it was at the beginning, grapefruit juice or something. So yeah, it all makes sense. Wonderful. I didn't notice before, but the name of the airplane is Death Knox, which is like some foreshadowing, creating like an ominous sense. What's interesting actually is how Anita is pointing her gun at me and like clicking on it, but the clip is empty. That's what it cuts to after the airplane sequence. Um, but obviously, we love each other, and that's like our backstory. This, I imagine, happened after that, I'm assuming before when I played it, I assumed that it meant that um, she just has like adrenaline, like whoever is in front of her, she's just pressing her trigger because she's just been in a firefight. You can see that she's bloodied and she has a bullet hole. Um, but maybe she's actually trying to kill me. Maybe I did something. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. And I've been calling them jump cuts, but actually the developer calls them smash cuts. I don't know if that's a gaming term. The developer is actually better than he realizes. He said that he wanted to make the player pick up, another person, pick up his friend and Borges and, carry him to safety. And he was trying to think of a way to get the player to pick up Borges. And he kind of stumbled upon the idea like he would put Borges in front of the door. And so, classic video game style, you have to, you have like a magic lock that you have to shoot an arrow at or something in order to get through that door and progress in the game. And so, it forces you to find the bow and arrow in the dungeon or whatever. And you'll later need that to beat the boss. So here he's done something similar where he has Borges in front of the door, and if you want to progress, you have to press E to interact with him, which causes you to pick him up, and then you can get through the door. He was saying that he's bothered that there are boxes, that he's Borges is sitting on boxes. Like what kind of staff would put boxes in front of the door? It's kind of like breaking the intrinsic sense of the game. I think it only adds to it because when I played it, I got the sense that they had like boarded themselves in. They'd put boxes in front of the door. Borges was sitting against the door, and it was a way to like stop people from getting in. Actually, now that I think about it, though, I think the door will probably open out, which would be silly. But actually, in the moment, I didn't pick up on it because there's so much going on. Anita bloodied, bullet hole, gun in my face, music, jump cut, Borges coughing and spluttering, vent swaying, blood on the walls, and I pick him up and the boxes move. I'm just like, oh, okay, we're progressing. I don't think about which way the door swings, so I think he's dead wrong. I think it really works. Actually, now that I read on the developer commentary, the developer actually says he rationalized it that the guy barricaded him in. So, well, great minds, yes. I'm very self-aggrandizing. This airport sequence when you leave that room, I really liked it, and I didn't really understand why. Now that I actually look at it, there's more to this game than I realized. I just thought, you can go left or you can go right, and when I played through for the second time, I went the different way. It just brings you to the same place, so it's just understood um, that you travel through the airport and you get to where you're going. You can't, the player can't really go wrong. Again, it's all working for a cutscene. Um, he said that he scripted it so these people don't all walk at the same speeds. They walk at randomly generated speeds. They are constantly being randomly generated, and they walk like on or near waypoints. And so that really works because they do all seem like slightly different. It does give that sense that you are in um somewhere like organic as opposed to because if they were all just walking at the same speed, it would feel like, oh, okay, is the game trying to tell me that we're living in a world where everything is very conformist? It's like Orwellian, draconian, everyone is robotic. But no, actually, the sense you get is that you are in a real environment, a real airport, and these people are, representing just the general public. And so you are bringing a wounded man outside into, a place, just a normal airport. And also, the developer says that this like system makes them like random, like kind of glitchy around staircases. I mean, you have to really look for that. So I'm standing right at the top of the staircase, and you can see some of their feet are going through the floor, but it works because this isn't supposed to be perfect. It's representative. Like these people are representative of normal people. They've got boxes for heads. So I'm interpreting it as being, representative of an airport, representative of people. And so these people going up the stairs. It doesn't have to look perfect. It's representing people going upstairs. That's how I'm interpreting it. Works beautifully. The developer says that he put something in as a throwaway gag, which is a guy wearing um, earphones, and I think the gag is supposed to be that you steal his trolley, uh, and so you can put your friend on it, so you don't have to carry him anymore. You can just wheel him around, which is easier. And you like push his luggage to one side and steal his luggage trolley. Um, I think that, and he says like this breaks the design of games that you put something in just once and only for one little gag that only lasts, excuse me, a few seconds. I didn't really pick up on this the first time, but I did the second time. And now that I think about it, again, this makes intrinsic sense. You put the guy on the trolley so it's easier, but why doesn't this person react? Because if they didn't react, you have this thing in games where you steal the person's uh, items from their home or something and they don't react, and it's like, yeah, I'm just playing a game. But this actually it makes sense because he doesn't see you steal his trolley because he's preoccupied looking at the arrivals board or departures board in the airport. He doesn't hear you steal his trolley because he's wearing headphones. You can see the visualized music coming out, representing that the music playing in his ears. So it makes sense. It's just a tiny little thing. But again, it was an opportunity, or rather, I suppose, a trap where immersion could have been broken. And in this game, like it's all immersion, it's all experience. And I think that he did really well to consider that. And he thinks he's just like making a little gag for himself. It's wonderful, perfect. I really love this bit actually where you can't move on. You wake up in your bed and you stand up and you can't move for a few seconds. Because you're just waking up. I love that. It's again like semi cutscene. Yeah. Another thing that I'm picking up on in the story is you wake up. There are three beds, three single beds, and so I would assume that this is not necessarily. I suppose it's a home, but it's more of a crash pad. And I didn't do this thing before, but you can actually interact with the oranges. You can that she's using. You can pick them up, press E. Oh, I can't get rid of the orange, can I? Oh, I don't know. I can't. Um, uh, yeah, I've picked up this orange and I can't get rid of it. Um, there are three single beds, meaning I'm single, Anita single, Borges is single. Like I could have gotten with Anita, or Borges could have. Um, there's no like one single bed and one double bed. So our like sexual encounter or implied sexual encounter was the first time that we got together. So it was like a burgeoning romance, and that's where it came from. And I think it solidifies the idea that it's actual love, because if there was just the two of you and you're thrown together by fate or circumstance, you get together, yeah, the both of you are there, why not? But she also could have gone with Borges, but she chose you. And so it helps to show that there's something more to this, that she actually made a choice. She didn't just go with, you out of convenience, that it was actual, there's more, emotions to it than that. I think this is a really nice moment in the game. Anita peeling these oranges and throwing the peels away. It's just, it's like a moment of quiet to punctuate the chaos which surrounds it. Dragging like a a wounded man through a very busy airport, hectic music, and then you just get this quiet moment where Anita is taking in the night air, peeling an orange. There are lots of little jokes in this game that I didn't really pick up on, I'm ashamed to say. One that I should have is, the alcohol that you carry around and you see around is called Midnight Hobo. It's like such a terrible name for a vodka, like Midnight Hobo. And also, it says 7,000 proof, which is crazy, and vodka hall instead of alcohol. Wow, really pays off to spend more time playing games and like look at the details, which I unfortunately don't have the time to do. Actually, another thing that I didn't realize when I first played, you knock on the doors. If you when you leave your apartment, like the game wants you to follow your two friends, but instead I stuck around and went the other way and tried knocking on the doors, like interacting with them, which you can. And on two of them you knock and nothing happens, but on a third one you knock and it briefly opens, like someone just looks at you and then closes the door again. And I noticed this time he's wearing, a suit, a bow tie, like black tie formal wear, and it's the groom. Yeah, and so like yeah, it really does make sense that we'd be at the wedding because he's our neighbor. He says that this like floating upward people was a happy accident, which like he was just testing stuff out and he just liked the way it looked, and it's so good as well. It's just so representative that you've become inebriated, you've gotten drunk um, with Anita, and so it's like the night air, or excuse me, like the night just goes away with itself, and it's a nice like ending to it. They float off, and it's just the two of you left. I really like that. And again, he says that he. I mean, I really want to get rid of this orange. That's like that would have destroyed my experience the first time. But he said that the developer says that the people are procedurally generated, so they like randomly dance, they randomly bob their heads. I like how things are like more colourful. They have this lighting effect around them, and they're slightly out of focus when you're drunk. I think there's also a reference. I was saying that it's Orwellian. I think it is actually a reference to George Orwell's 1984. That non-alcoholic drink is called Maple Victory, and they called it something similar. Like everything was Victory in 1984. I think there was like Victory gin, Victory cigarettes, something like that. And it's like it's like that's it. We've won, um, and this is what you get. Like yeah, it's I think it's a reference there. Even shooting at those parachuting cameras through the ceiling. Um, it's there's a moment you come in and the ceiling breaks and cameras start parachuting down. There's birds overhead, and Borges starts firing at them to disable them. It jump cuts in the middle to go back to you and Anita in the bedroom that night, and it's good because it's like he's gonna shoot them all. We get it. So it just cuts to yeah. There's like one or two left at the end, and he just shoots them. And so you don't need him to shoot every last one of them. We get the idea. Lots of them came down. He shot them all, and sorry, my mic was up. That's probably why the sound wasn't good for a while. Um, Lots of the balloons were there, and so we got that experience. And then it's like, we get the idea. He's going to shoot them all. Let's just move things along quickly. Why don't we? This is crazy. I mean, I've still got this orange, even like on the motorcycle sequence. Yeah, Anita's love for me causes the car crash. I don't get the second crash though, I have to say. I don't understand where the second crash comes from because, there's a big truck coming towards you. That part I understand. Then suddenly it's pink again, like in when the cops were there, the cop blockade. Um, and so what was the second crash? That part I don't understand. Um, because it can't be from the other driver's viewpoint because you're not in a car, you're on a motorcycle. Interestingly, the final part is where you're in like the art gallery is based on the National Museum of History, is it in Paris? And so yeah, no wonder it works so well. Actually, I didn't notice before, but a little thing is in this museum. So obviously you saw your car being suspended as you would in museums, but then you have the airplane as well, and which is suspended from the ceiling, and the safe, Borges safe, because he was a pilot and safe cracker. I just think that's funny. Oh, this commentary is really something. It's showing how he even designed this gun from the ground up, this sniper rifle. Wow, I so don't appreciate the work that goes into making games. And a game like this, people would say like, "Oh, the graphics is terrible," and you see the work that went into designing it. It's funny, like you can, in the commentary, it's singled out like sniper rifle, um, motorcycle, Anita. It shows like the design process, how he made them. One of them is the orange. Was it that important? Yep. So that's the first episode of Game Rich Time Poor, the I don't know what you'd call it, show for people with more games than time. Thanks for listening.